All right, folks. Good morning. Thanks for joining. Kindly join in. I'm seeing a few of you here on the broadcast this morning. So my name is Anthony Williams, and I'm here in the famous Ganta city. You may call it Gompa, if you may. And of course, you must have just seen the flyer right here, or the banner right here, that says the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference. And this conference is being held under the theme Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia through Reconstruction. Now, this is a 4-day event that's being held here in Nimba County, in Ganta precisely, and it's being held here at the famous Jackie's Guest House here in Ganta City. This is the Jackie's Guest House right here. And right ahead of me there is the main conference hall. And that's where the 4-day Liberia National Infrastructure Conference is being held. Now, as we speak, the guests are already seated in the conference hall. Registration is taking place. International guests have already arrived. A lot of them have already arrived. If you look here, if you just look right ahead of me, you're not seeing much movement outside now because almost all of the guests have already made their way upstairs in the conference hall, and they are all currently awaiting the arrival of President Boakai and other dignitaries to grace this particular location. Now, just to show you what this environment looks like currently, if you look across the road, that's the car park. That's where all the vehicles are parked. Just to tell you that there are lots of guests, folks from the diplomatic community. Saw the ambassador from the Ghanaian ambassador to Liberia. I saw the UN representative to Liberia, the EU representative to Liberia. Lots of international guests are already in the conference hall, and they are currently awaiting the arrival of President Boakai. If you look ahead of us, you see a few police officers across the road there. Also, there are several police officers across the road there trying to secure the environment as they await the arrival of President Boakai to attend the Liberia Infrastructure Conference. So this appears to be one of the country's biggest infrastructure conference that has been held since post-war. I'm going to take you in there a little bit and show you, just to give you a little glimpse of what the environment looks like. But this is appears to be one of the country's biggest infrastructural conference since post-war. I'm going to grab a copy of the event so I can walk you through, and show you, bring you up to speed on some of the activities that I expected during this conference. So let's just go in and let me walk you through. But as you can see right here, this is the entry. This is the entry right here. And right after the official opening ceremony of this event is held today, there's going to be a photo shoot right here. But as you can see, it says the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference being held under the theme Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia through Reconstruction. So there are also showcase booths here at the conference hall. So you can see a few of them right here. And then right here also is where registration is taking place this morning. Right here, once you get here, the registration team gets to give you a card. Ma'am, can I just have one? I'll return it quickly. So this is the card right here. They get to register you. And then this card, it says the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference. And so once you are given a tag, you also be given all of your conference materials, and then you can make your way upstairs. So let's go upstairs quickly. Let me show you what it looks like up there. So right here, you see the banner right ahead of you here, bearing the picture of His Excellency President Boakai. He's going to be delivering the official opening address of the conference. But we also do have a Ghanaian deputy minister from the Ghanaian Ministry of Public Works. She will be delivering the official keynote address today. But let's go in and let me show you what the environment looks like. But just if you can look here on the banner, as the theme of this particular conference depicts rebranding and rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction. And then this very beautiful looking image, probably depicting the future Liberia through infrastructure. You never know. But let's go upstairs and show you. This is going to be a 4-day conference. It's going to be a 4-day conference. This is just day one, and day one marks the official opening. Once you come upstairs, apart from seeing this giant-sized banner, you also get to see the registration process. This is where it takes place. They give you a tag. They also give you the entire conference materials. As you can see, they have the book right here that has all of the details in it for the conference. And if we can just flip it a little bit, you'll see right in here all of the detail. There's another one that has the full program in it. But I'm going to grab, you want to help me out quickly? I'm going to grab one and just show you and run you through the activities for the day. And then we can pick it up from there. So thank you very much. So, I mean, I don't want to go through the background of the event. I just want to show you today's activities for the program before the official program starts. This is being done through the Ministry of Public Works, just so you know. So it says day one, and as you can see today, we will be having, of course, after breakfast, registration that's already ongoing. They will have the opening ceremony, where the national anthem will be sung, introductory remarks will be given, and the host county, of course, Nimba, will be hearing from the superintendent of Nimba County, welcome address from the conference chairperson, that's the Minister of Public Works himself, Honorable Roland Lafayette Giddens. And then we'll also be having a remarks from the Acting Finance Minister, Honorable Anthony Myers. Introduction of the keynote speaker will be done. Of course, the keynote speaker, like I said, is Honorable Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, State Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources of the Republic of Ghana. Rebranding and rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction is going to be the theme that she will be discussing on. And of course, after all of the remarks from the diplomatic community, you know, international organizations, once all of that is done, we'll have the special address from His Excellency President Boakai himself. So there you have it. But let's go quickly to this giant-sized banner here, and then let me show you some of the sponsors for this Liberia National Infrastructure Conference. So the sponsors, we have Blanco Group of Company. They are a logistics construction energy company. We also do have the BK Enterprise. They're also an engineering company. We have MDMC Express Incorporated. They're already doing some construction works in Liberia already. MDMC works along with the Ministry of Public Works. And then we have the United Nations Development Program, of course, the entity responsible for development in the UN. UNDP, if you may. We also have Real Estate and Construction Corporation. They call themselves RESCO International. As you can see, RESCO International right there. Then we also do have the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Corporation. That's Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company, LPRC. So several sponsors there for this unique national infrastructure conference to depict infrastructure, you know, for Liberia. I mean, and the conference cover a variety of areas in terms of infrastructural intervention. We're talking about education infrastructure advancement, sanitation infrastructure advancement, and you name it, a whole long list of areas where the government intends to make intervention in this process. But let me show you what the hall looks like quickly while we are with President Boakai. So there you have it. As you can see, you have officials of government already coming in. They all are seated, awaiting the arrival of His Excellency the President. Here, this is the giant-sized welcome symbol right here ahead of you. It says welcome. And of course, the same very team, rebranding and rebuilding Liberia through reconstruction. So yes, so all we're waiting for now, from what it looks like, is His Excellency President Boakai. Amongst officials of government I'm looking at currently, I'm also seeing the President of the University of Liberia, Dr. Leila Mapayant. She's seated, and of course, as we await the arrival of His Excellency the President, there you have it. That's the podium right there where President Boakai will be seated. There are two separate podiums, one for the regular speakers, and then the one with the CEO of the Republic of Liberia, is where His Excellency the President will be delivering the official opening address of this particular conference. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed and, tell you what's happening here in Ganta. Ganta is the area of attraction. This is where it's all happening. The national, Liberia National Infrastructure Conference. It's a 4-day conference. Like I said, today marks day one, the official opening. And President Boakai will deliver the official opening address. Of course, the keynote address will come from a guest from Ghana. She will be delivering the official keynote address. So, folks, just to show you what the environment looks like, this is the hall. And, of course, if you know the famous Jackie in Nimba, in Ganta, this is the conference hall. Looks very beautiful. Of course, if I can just show you around so you have a glimpse of what the place looks like. But yes, so this is it, folks. Basically, we now await the arrival of His Excellency President Boakai. Of course, once the President arrives, the event kickstarts, and of course, the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference will be underway. So all infrastructure stakeholders are all present here from across the country, from across the African continent, of course. Just like I said, you will be having the keynote address coming from a Ghanaian infrastructure representative or stakeholder. Then we have, of course, all necessary stakeholders, county representatives from across the country. They are all here present to grace this National Infrastructure Conference that's taking place here in Nimba County for the next 4 days. Of course, being done through the kind courtesy of the Ministry of Public Works and obviously the government of Liberia. There are also lawmakers who are here present at this event, already seated, awaiting the arrival of President Boakai. Government agencies and entities, or you can call them MACs, ministries, agencies, and commissions that are related to the infrastructure conference, are all here also present to relate to this particular event. So we now await the arrival of President Boakai for a national infrastructure conference to start here in Ganta, Nimba County. My name is Anthony Williams, and I just thought to bring you up to speed. Thanks for watching. We'll rejoin you once the official event starts. But let's go right back where we started, downstairs. So like I said, we still have guests coming in. We're still seeing registration taking place. We're going to go downstairs, and then, of course, where we started this video from, we can go and end it there so you have a glimpse of what we are talking about. But there's nothing much going on now. As we await President Boakai's arrival, there's nothing much going on. Basically, registration. I did register this morning. I actually did register this morning. So let me inquire if I have a tag here. How are you, man? Earlier I wrote my name. I don't know if mine is available. My name is Anthony Williams. Yes, ma'am.
Hour plus?
Sure. Yeah, like let's say 45 minutes or something. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So they're going to confirm and find out if my tag is available, and then they're going to hand it over to me. But they have an online link. You come and scan this QR code right here. You come and scan this QR code. It says scan this QR code with a mobile camera to instantly access the conference registration page. So once you do that, you fill in with your details, areas that you've got interest in, what kind of infrastructure advancement you're interested in, sanitation infrastructure, education infrastructure, and you name it. You fill in the form, put in your full name, put in your email address, and then the name gets forwarded to this team right here, and then they print out your tag for you and hand it over to you. So while they look for my tag, I'm going to stick around. But we're still seeing arrival of guests anyway. We're still seeing the arrival of guests here at the famous Jackie's guest house where the event is taking place. So just to show you, that we're here in Ganta, and Liberia is holding a crucial national infrastructure conference to talk about advancement in the country's infrastructure. So fortunately for me, I just caught up with the official spokesperson of the Ministry of Public Works. His name is Myers. Mr. Myers is going to run us through quickly, but let's just stand right here. He's going to bring me up to speed on this particular crucial conference. Mr. Myers, welcome to LNTV. My name is Anthony Williams. Today, Liberia opens or kickstart a very crucial conference, the National Infrastructure Conference, which obviously is under the auspices of the Ministry of Public Works. You want to bring the public up to speed on how crucial this conference is and who are those partners and entities, stakeholders that are all here. Anything crucial that people need to know about this conference?
Well, thank you. In the first place, we are quite aware that Liberia became one of attractive countries on the west coast of Africa. We built infrastructures to last. We built power plants, we built roads, we built airports, we built a lot of infrastructure. Unfortunately, the emergence of the 14 years of civil crisis devastated lives and property, thus having a strong grip on the infrastructure sector within the country. And in the aftermath of the war, we managed to have some recovery under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf as president for 12 years. He legislatively returned to parts of the capital. Roads were constructed at some level, and then we transitioned to President George Manawia, and road construction also extended deeper into communities, bringing development to the people, and subsequently President Joseph Boakai, the current president of the Republic of Liberia. And we're still building roads and trying to regain Liberia's post-war infrastructure capacity or portfolio, so to speak. So the president thought in his wisdom, having consulted the technicians at the Ministry of Public Works, that in the aftermath of the war, we've now had a national conference to look at Liberia's infrastructure sector in its totality, by bringing all the institutions concerned together. So this conference is intended to look at Liberia's infrastructure, what it was prior to the war, and the extent to which we've achieved in restoring infrastructure in this country after the war. So we are going to look at it from a holistic point of view. We look at water and sanitation. We look at power and energy. We look at road infrastructure. We look at public buildings. And we look at all sectors that are infrastructure related. This is why this program is not about public works alone. It is an interagency approach to revitalizing the infrastructure sector. So all of the institutions concerned are invited. You saw the Director General of the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. You saw representation from the Liberia Electricity Corporation. You are seeing a delegation from the Ministry of Public Works. You're seeing the Environmental Protection Agency. All of those institutions are, one way or the other, concerned with public infrastructure. And so they are here. More than just that, we've invited academics from across Africa to share with us their experiences they've had, how they managed to surmount this challenge of their infrastructure within their various countries, so that we can have a review collectively and look at the lessons that Liberia can learn from those presentations. So we've invited also the Minister of Roads of the Republic of Ghana, because Ghana has made significant progress in terms of infrastructure. We intend to tap into the reservoir of his knowledge on how Ghana managed to transcend to that level, and what lesson could Liberia learn to ensure that we get into the competition of development in West Africa, and the world at large. So it is a convergence of professionals from diverse persuasions, and all of them are here to grace this very important occasion, and the President will be here a moment from now to to give an opening speech and lay bare the rationale of today's conference.
Okay, so I think you've said a lot, because the big question here was, what does Liberia stand to achieve in the next 4 days as this conference continues, or at the end of the conference?
Liberia stands to achieve a lot. It is not just about having mere discussions.
Yeah, because people are concerned some of these discussions are always on paper. Bringing them to action becomes something else.
No, it is about having discussions from a more practical perspective and having them documented, and then a document will be developed on how Liberia handles its infrastructure, how monies can be generated locally and internationally to ensure that we support infrastructure in this country. So when that is developed, it becomes a guiding tool for the government and governments to come. You are aware, Anthony, that this is the first since the cessation of war for a conference to be held for Liberia to look at infrastructure in its totality. So it is not just one of the many conferences, it is a critical review of the infrastructure sector in its totality. And therefrom, a document will be developed that guides the government's approach based on country by country experiences that they will share, based on experiences shared from academics, based on experiences shared from other professionals who have worked years long within the infrastructure sector in and out of Liberia. So it is going to be very good. It is going to augur well for Liberia. It's going to benefit Liberia, even if not in the short term, but in the long run, it's going to benefit Liberia significantly.
Thank you, Marius.
Just before Anthony can go, I'm just concerned about the sponsorship of this program. It is fully sponsored by the government of Liberia or other international partners.
So, of course, the world is an interdependent world. And when these very big conferences are held, international partners as well are invited to share their opinions. Sometimes they make meaningful contributions. We can rule that out. But the most of today's happening was sponsored by the government of Liberia, because the government takes it very seriously. The Minister of Public Works thinks that this must be done. His management team at the ministry is well convinced that this is the perfect direction for Liberia, and so they have put in everything. They are handling this conference with every fiber of their being to ensure that we receive or we get the actual objective of this conference in a way that benefits Liberia significantly.
Thank you, Marius. It was nice talking to you.
You're most welcome.
That official spokesperson there of the Ministry of Public Works. We're still seeing the arrival of international guests here at this particular event being held here in Nimba. You heard him providing sufficient details on the essence of this conference. And so wherever you watched and followed from, I'd like to say thanks for watching and thanks for following. I'm going to rejoin you once the conference starts. From up there, that's the conference hall. And just thought to bring you a build-up about what can now be considered as Liberia's first and major post-war infrastructure conference being held here in Ganta, or Gompa if you may, Nimba County. My name is Anthony Williams. We await the arrival of President Boakai to kickstart the official program marking the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference being held under the theme Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia Through Reconstruction. Bye-bye for now. I'll rejoin you shortly once President Boakai arrives.
Thank you for such a wonderful opportunity to share your message. Thank you for such a day that you have made most gracious and faithful Father. We ask for your guidance and wisdom, for you are the source of all knowledge and understanding. Therefore, we seek your direction as we begin this conference in gathering ideas and ways that we are a nation being rebirthed and rebuilding the process of sustainable development and prosperity for our nation. We pray that this conference will be a success and shall serve as a roadmap for transforming our nation's infrastructure to smart cities across our 15 countries. We thank you for all who are gathered in this conference with one purpose to provide innovative solutions to our national and infrastructure needs. Great and wonderful God, let the ear now be attentive and the eyes open, that thou may hear the prayer of your servant, which I pray for now as we begin this conference today. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you. This is a powerful prayer.
And the next person to be here from the
all protocols to be observed. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference, convened under the national theme, Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia through Reconstruction. This gathering is more than a conference. It represents a defining moment in Liberia's journey to rebuild, modernize, and secure a resilient and inclusive future for all our people. Infrastructure is the backbone of national transportation. Roads, energy, water systems, housing, digital connectivity, and transport networks are not merely physical assets. They are enablers of economic growth, social equity, national integration, and human mobility. Liberia's experience with conflict, Ebola, and COVID-19 and expose deep gaps, but they also showcase the resilience of our people. These lessons compel us to adopt a new mindset, one built on long-term planning, coordination, climate resilience, innovation, and inclusion. Through the IRS agenda and in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals and Africa's Agenda 2063, Liberia is now positioned to move from fragmented interventions to a more integrated, result-driven approach to infrastructure development. And this conference is a platform where the shift begins. Over the next 5 days, we bring together government leaders, development partners, the private sector, engineers, planners, researchers, and civil society to exchange ideas on policy reform, financing mechanisms, innovation, and public-private partnerships to identify gaps and bottlenecks within Liberia's infrastructure landscape, to design a coordinated roadmap for resilience, climate responsive, and people-centered infrastructure, to unlock investment opportunities across critical sectors, and to strengthen collaboration for sustainable and inclusive national growth. At its core, this conference seeks to translate national priorities into breakable projects, actionable strategies, and measurable development outcomes. The program is structured to provide a holistic, cross-sector perspective. The one focuses on spatial development, urban planning, and housing. Beginning with this opening ceremony and keynote address, discussions will emphasize land use planning, governance, housing delivery, and equitable urban growth. The two addresses energy, telecommunication, and water, sanitation, and hygiene, the systems that power productivity and human well-being. We will examine energy access, digital connectivity, and the financing and cost-benefit analysis of what services. The three trends to road connectivity and climate resilience infrastructure, focusing on financing models, public-private partnerships, resilience engineering, and environmental safeguards. Therefore, expands the conversation to transport systems, including ports, rails, aviation, and inland waterways, with attention to regional integration and policy reform. The slide concludes with visits, and a closing ceremony summarizing completed key outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this National Infrastructure Conference here in Uganda, let us engage with clarity, ambition, and urgency. The decisions we make, the partnership we forge, and the ideas we advance this week will shape Liberia's development trajectory for generations to come. Let this conference mark a turning point from planning to implementation, from fragmentation to coordination, and from aspiration to measurable results. Together, let us rebuild Liberia, rebuild Liberia, and reposition Liberia for transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, I now formally declare the Liberia National Conference 2026 open. Thank you.
I'm sorry for that. His Excellency, President, will officially declare the conference open. Certainly.
So wait, we are in the city of Atlanta.
But before we do that, I think we have some very many people here that we need to recognize.
So the protocol will supply us with this. It will give due recognition to all the international partners, development partners, and all visiting guests that are here.
And especially our speakers that flew in last night. Some of them had to travel to the airport around 9 o'clock last night, and they got here at 2 in the morning. So we have to really recognize and give an appropriate appreciation that is due them.
Thank you. We are in the city of Atlanta, and the superintendent of the county is here. So there's no other person more suitable to be invited here to the podium to give remark on behalf of the county. So when I'm superintendent, Honorable Paul Congratulations
Thank you so much. Your Excellency President Nimba, Boakai Senior, President of the Republic of Liberia, distinguished cabinet members, esteemed guest speaker, excellencies and members of the diplomatic corps, our development partners, our local government officials here, Lord Mayor of Atlanta and His Lordship Samuel Hart, members of local government chiefs, my partner, sister, and colleague, Superintendent of Bond County, Honorable Lodia Norris, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the food estate. On behalf of the resilient and ever-forward moving people of Nimba, I extend my most distinguished welcome this morning. We gather here today not just to speak about infrastructure, but to witness its tangible dawn. The first post-war infrastructure conference held far from Monrovia in our vibrant Kansas City is in itself among mental infrastructure of the mind, a clear signal that this Western-led government is architecting a new, inclusive blueprint for our nation. Your Excellency, on behalf of my colleagues, superintendents, and the resilient citizens of Nimba, our chiefs, our leaders, we must first acknowledge the national vision you are executing. We see it in an aggressive push to extend electricity to the counties that have dwelt in darkness for decades. We see it in a transformative battle-pass road infrastructure efforts ongoing, designed to finally connect our nation into a strong body. And we hear it in the hopeful news of the soon-to-arrive 285 pieces of road building equipment, of 3 apprentices to be a game changer, alleviating hardship, helping our freedom road crisis, and creating access to our markets, to our clinics, to our schools. This is serious lesson in leadership. The leadership the people of Liberia have learned for. Your Excellency President Nimba Boakai, in Nimba, we have taken this national challenge as a sacred mandate. Our story under your administration is one of deliberate revival, a conscious effort to restore dignity, functionality, and pride to our public institutions. We began this infrastructure revival from our seat of governance in Senegal, the once famous superintendent company in Senegal, the administrative board, administrative buildings, projects that today reflect seriousness and maturity in our government and the respect of our people. We are building a gateway to the future with the critical technical knowledge and support that Liberian Airport Authority has given us and funding from Samaritan Press. The Nimba Airstrip will soon be open for commercial aircraft. A year or two from now, the distinguished guests, you will be arriving through the Nimba airspace directly here. And as we saw in Sokopa, our first time when we entered Nimba, we have built a traditional welcome room where high power delegation can be welcomed at the Nimba Lodge with restaurants, with gift shops, and that we can also build diversity and inclusion for our traditional people. We are resurrecting our history to fund our future. In 1959, President Tugman constructed the OAU conference hall that hosted leaders and began the initial talks for what is now known as the AU, the African Union. Under the administration of Excellency, that has been reconstructed. Today the stage transformed into a elegant suite, one of which has been proudly named in your honor, Your Excellency, because it's under your administration that legacy was reconstructed and was maintained. It will serve as both a monument to our past and a sustainable source of revenue. We are also building our ecological and economic future with the Nimba Botanical Garden in Senegal, first of this kind in the history of Liberia, a flagship partnership with the EPA and the UNDP. This garden will preserve our precious medicinal plants and promote biodiversity. It will enhance tourism and become a center for environmental education or living infrastructure for planet Earth. We would like to say thank you to the boss of the EPA and UNDP for supporting our country to achieve this dream. From the governor's mansion in Capeta to the Capeta City Hall to the second place seat of government to the presidential palace in Butuo to the Boakai in Campe, we are painting capitals of administration all across the landscape of this country. We are investing in our people's foundation when it comes to early childhood education, starting with model childhood schools in Senegal and Ghana. The relocation of the Senegal General Market to second part, which will allow the development of our historic man-made lake Tile, which happens to be our largest man-made lake in Liberia. So the reconstruction and construction of additional material waiting rooms to safeguard mother's food delivery. This distinguished guest is our Nimba story, a story of revival, of revenue, and of resolve. It is our local response to His Excellency's national challenge. We are building not just for today, but for tomorrow, where Nimba's infrastructure supports Liberia's access. We thank you for your leadership, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, this matters to all of us and all of Liberia. Let this conference be a moment build a connected, empowered, and dignified Nigeria for everyone. Thank you and welcome to Nimba.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I thought as Superintendent, please speak this now, but imagine that. Thank you.
So we have a need of the infrastructure that we are doing.
Of course.
Okay, please.
So leading the President's effort to revamp Nigeria's road infrastructure from the country capital, hoping to come to my road, is no other person.
I'm here. Give me a chance. Let me acknowledge
Okay, you welcome the boss.
Of course, I have to. It is an honor to welcome the head of the Raw Aggression Team at the Ministry of Public Works, my boss, the chairperson of the planning committee for the first post-war National Infrastructure Conference, Honorable William Lafayette, Minister of Public Works.
Mr. President, just so you know, Boakai, the head of agency here, Madam Superintendent, the dynamic superintendent of Nimba County, the mayor of Gompa City, our esteemed keynote speaker, Honorable Kenneth Gabriel Achi, the Minister of Works and Housing, Water Resources of Ghana, my good colleague, our international partners that have worked with us, members of the diplomatic corps that are here, our development partners, representatives of the private sector, our esteemed academicians, members of the civil society, the Fulbright State, distinguished moderators, panelists, experts, delegates to this conference, fellow Liberians, ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply honored today as the conference chair to welcome you to Liberia's first National Infrastructure Conference 2026 on the theme Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia through Reconstruction. Let me emphasize that this gathering is more than the event today. It is a national commitment that seeks to transform Liberia's infrastructure into the engine that speeds Liberia's economic growth and development. Our nation has endured many unfortunate crises which interrupted our economic growth and development. But yet, we are resolved as a nation to rise and never wiggle. Infrastructure investment remains the bridge between our challenges and shared inspiration as a nation. It is the roads that connect farmers to markets, the energy that powers industries, the water that safeguards public health and sanitation, the seaports, the airports that link us to the rest of the world. Guarantee a climate resilient infrastructure system. Our national development agenda, which is guided by the REST agenda for inclusive development, is aligned with Africa's Agenda 2063, the Sustainable Development Goals, which leads us to setting an infrastructure agenda that will bring Liberia to par with its neighbor in the sub-region. Every infrastructure investment we pursue today must guarantee safer communities, improve mobility, enhance youth and gender development, and secure long-term economic stability.
However, this is our case. Today, across Liberia, we have an urgent infrastructure gap, and I'd like to list a few of the cases. Our cities growing without adequate planning and urban areas require structured spatial planning, affordable housing, and resilient drainage system. We're going to discuss that. We have fragile roads and bridges that isolate specifically our rural communities. We must address that. Rural communities need sustainable all-weather roads and bridges to unlock untapped agricultural potential, which we have. We have limited access to affordable energy and our inability to extend renewable power to household and industry, the supplements we have. Limited telecommunication, unable to bridge digital divide and bring about the needed innovation which we must pursue. The challenges that prohibit our seaports, airports, and transport corridors from positioning Liberia as a regional hub, which we already are by nature. These challenges are enormous, Mr. President, in our delegation and guests, but they are not beyond our capacity to do so. The present opportunities we need is to change Liberian infrastructure deficit that we have. The challenges demand coordination across government agencies, sustainable investment, bold leadership, and I emphasize bold leadership through strategic partnership with our development partners who can deal with us, enhancing and encouraging private investment, and regional institutions that have worked with us. Liberia can leapfrog into building climate smart infrastructure that will serve many generations to come. What we do today is for generations tomorrow, and not just for today. Let this forum be more than a conference to just discuss, but a marketplace to exchange ideas that will enhance the platform to secure financing that we need, and to also put in place the technical expertise, the strategy, the policy, legislation where required to enhance our national infrastructure development. Over the next 5 days, we review legal framework, policy frameworks, access priorities, which we have, present bankable projects in energy, roads, ICT, water, and transport. We also explore public-private partnership. Thank God we now have a PPP policy as a nation, and also secure and speak about domestic resource mobilization, which is key to our development also, and build partnership that converts dialogue into real implementation. Our objective for this conference is simple: to move from dialoguing to delivery. I commend the National Organizing Committee and all the collaborating agencies and institutions for their dedication over the last months. I thank our development partners for their support to the private sector and their growing confidence in Liberia's development. Above all, I'd like to thank His Excellency President Joseph Boakai for his vision that brought us and assembled us together today. Lastly, the Ministry of Public Works remains committed to ensuring that the outcome of this conference will not just be measured by the speeches we make today, the exchanges, but by developing our infrastructure program that improve the everyday lives of our people. These improvements should include sustainable paved roads, reliable and affordable energy, safe and drinking water for our people, efficient and effective sea and airport operations, improved telecommunications and ICT services, and an inclusive planned city that uplift the life of our people. Together, let us work and build infrastructure that unites our people, strengthen our economy, and secure Liberia's future. Let me take this time to welcome officially all of you to this conference, and I wish you a wonderful stay. Thank you, and God bless us all.
That is the Minister of Public Works there, Minister Roland Lafayette Giddens, of course, the custodian of the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference. welcoming guests here at this special occasion here in Nimba County. If you're listening to this broadcast, we're coming to you live from Nimba County, where the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference is being held. At this point in time, we'll go to the podium where the keynote speaker will be introduced. The keynote speaker is from the keynote speaker, of course, is from Ghana, and from the Ministry of Public Works there in Ghana. Roads will be addressing this Liberia National Infrastructure Conference here.
All protocols observed. My name is Genyen Yanwar, an environmental engineer and NCC Corporate Ministry of Public Works. It is a privilege to stand before you at Liberia's post-war National Infrastructure Conference. This is an occasion that marks a decisive step in our country's journey to rebrand, rebuild, or future-proof our communities. Today, as we gather, not only to plan roads, houses, and water systems, we've got to shape the Liberia that we will hand to the next generation. A resilient, climate-smart, economically vibrant community. Our conversations today must move beyond projects to principles. Value for money, institutional integrity, and infrastructure that ensures under pressure from rapid urbanization and climate change. In that spirit, I am honored to introduce a leader whose work exemplifies those principles. Our keynote speaker brings both strategic vision and a practical experience. Appointed minister in February 2025, he arrives with a distinguished record of public service. His tenure as Ghana's Deputy Minister of Defense from 2012 to 2017 strengthened national security coordination and deepened interagency collaboration. Experience now informs a system-driven and risk-aware approach to national development. He is widely recognized for institutional reform, resilient building, and sustainable development across critical sectors. Since assuming office as minister, he has prioritized policy coherence, strengthening sector governance, and aligned infrastructure delivery with Ghana's long-term economic, social, and environmental goals. His leadership stands at three pillars: modernization of housing delivery frameworks, stronger oversight and accountability in the built environment, enhanced national water security, all anchored in firm commitment to climate-resilient public infrastructure. He continues to shape policies that respond to rapid urbanization, climate pressures, and infrastructure deficits, ensuring value for money, long-term sustainability, and improved quality of life for citizens. Academically, he is equally accomplished. He holds a Master of Arts in Peace, Security, and Intelligence Management from the University of Professional Studies, Accra. An executive MBA in Marketing from the University of Ghana Business School, and a Bachelor of Science in Marketing from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. His grounding in finance ensures further strengthening his expertise in risk management, strategic planning, and institutional governance. He leads with integrity, a focus on results, and a collaborative spirit. Qualities that make him a trusted partner in regional and international efforts to modernize infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a statesman and a practitioner whose ideas and actions speaks directly to the challenges before us. It is my honor to present our keynote speaker, Mr. Kenneth Gabriel Ajay, Minister of Works, Housing and Water Resources, Republic of Liberia. Thank you.
Of course, the Minister of Works being introduced there to deliver the official keynote address here at this event. Now, mount the podium.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of Liberia, Joseph Nimba Boakai, colleague ministers of state, honorable members of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, representatives of ECOWAS and the European Union, the United Nations, the World Bank, and the African Development Bank, distinguished private sector leaders, engineers, planners, and policy experts, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I extend cordial and fraternal greetings from the people and the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It is an esteemed honor and privilege to participate in this inaugural post-war National Infrastructure Conference of historic significance. I sincerely thank the government of Liberia and the Honorable Minister for Public Works for their gracious invitation and the warm hospitality extended to my delegation. Ghana and Liberia share a profound, enduring relationship rooted in the principles of West African solidarity and Pan-African unity. Their shared history, characterized by cooperation, mutual support, and international connections, has cultivated a relationship founded on trust and fraternity. Ghana's contributions to Liberia's peace and post-conflict recovery efforts, particularly through ECOWAS peacekeeping missions and humanitarian aid, exemplify a steadfast commitment to regional stability. Liberia has historically welcomed numerous Ghanaians, while Ghana has served as a home to many Liberians. These bonds, strengthened through intermarriages, trade, and migration, constitute the basis of our collective aspirations for peace, prosperity, and development. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Liberia's recovery has not been easy. The scars of conflict remain visible, and the work of rebuilding institutions, communities, and confidence continues. Yet, this conference stands as a powerful symbol of hope, a collective declaration that Liberia is ready to rebuild, reimagine, and rise. Infrastructure in this context is far more than concrete, steel, and asphalt. It is the architecture of opportunity, the backbone of national renewal, and the platform on which economies grow. Societies flourish and nations regain their footing. Roads, bridges, housing, water systems, energy networks, and digital infrastructure are not merely technical assets. They are instruments of dignity, inclusion, and national cohesion. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's development experience offers important lessons. Following periods of economic difficulty and structural reforms, we found that visible, tangible infrastructure investments were among the most effective ways to restore public confidence. Over the years, we have prioritized roads, housing, water, electricity, and health infrastructure as catalysts for economic transformation. Our energy sector reforms, for example, have more than doubled our installed generation capacity from 2,165 megawatts in 2010 to approximately 5,749 megawatts today. Electricity access has expanded from 64% in 2010 to 89% in 2025. Enabling industrial growth, supporting SMEs, and improving the quality of life for millions. We have also invested in urban renewal, education, and sports infrastructure, and expanded access to clean water and sanitation. These efforts demonstrate the power of strategic planning, policy consistency, and private sector participation. Today, road infrastructure alone accounts for a significant share of Ghana's capital expenditure. Through the Big Push agenda, an ambitious $10 billion national infrastructure program, we are working to close our infrastructure gap and stimulate long-term economic growth. Liberia's reconstruction journey mirrors many of the challenges Ghana has faced and overcome. Every kilometer of road rehabilitated, every community connected to water or electricity, and every housing unit delivered is a sign of renewal and reaffirmation of state credibility. Infrastructure must therefore be viewed not as an isolated project, but as an interconnected system that supports national development. Our understanding further indicates that infrastructure has inherently political dimension. When it functions effectively, it engenders trust among citizens. Conversely, failure diminishes confidence. Liberia has a distinctive opportunity to engage in the proactive planning to circumvent any consequences of unregulated urbanization that have historically afflicted numerous West African cities, including our capital, Accra. Formulating an integrated spatial development plan for Greater Monrovia and its surrounding regions will be indispensable for guiding sustainable expansion, alleviating congestion, and promoting equitable access to essential services. Rural connectivity is equally vital. In Ghana, targeted investments in feeder roads have improved access to markets, schools, and health facilities. Rural infrastructure is not charity. It is a strategic economic investment that uplifts entire communities. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, climate change poses another urgent challenge. Ghana has experienced severe flooding, coastal erosion, and extreme rainfall, prompting major investments in climate resilient infrastructure. Our sea defense projects in Keta, Adan, and Anomapo, Sakumono, and Abuasi reflect our commitment to protecting vulnerable communities and critical assets. Liberia's reconstruction must likewise incorporate climate resilience from the outset, using enhanced drainage systems, resilient road infrastructure, sustainable building materials, and judicious land use planning. Climate resilient infrastructure is not solely an environmental concern. It is also a matter of financial prudence and national security. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, no government can finance infrastructure development alone. Ghana's Public-Private Partnership Act 2020, Act 1039, provides a structured framework for leveraging private capital, expertise, and innovation. Transparent procurement, consistent policies, and strong institutions are essential for attracting investment and ensuring value for money. This conference brings together the very actors, policymakers, financiers, engineers, private sector leaders who are essential to transforming vision into reality. As a regional partner, Ghana stands ready to support Liberia's recovery. We encourage a collaborative approach that prioritizes sustainability, inclusivity, and long-term resilience. Let us invest not only in infrastructure, but also in people, including engineers, planners, technicians, and artisans, whose skills will sustain these investments for generations. Liberia's reconstruction is not merely about restoring what was lost. It is about designing a future that is stronger, more resilient, and more inclusive than the past was. Allow me to share these words of reflection. May the roads you construct connect more than mere locations. May the homes you construct provide security not only for families. May the systems you develop influence more than just markets. May the rebuilding agenda restore trust, dignity, national confidence, peace, and stability. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the people and the President of the Republic of Ghana, I express my deepest appreciation for the opportunity to contribute to this important national dialogue. Our shared history has taught us that solidarity is our greatest strength. When we unite, we turn challenges into opportunities and aspirations into achievements. Ghana has made meaningful progress on this development journey, and I am confident that Liberia can achieve the same and even surpass it. I thank you all. God richly bless us all.
That was the Minister of Works from Ghana, serving as the keynote speaker here at the National Infrastructure Conference being held here in Ghana, encouraging Liberia not to only invest in physical infrastructure, but to also invest in people.
Here we have a saying, sit on the old mat to plant the new mat. Regional experience is very practical for our growth, developmental growth. So we brought in an expert from Ghana to give us their perspective on how we can improve our infrastructure as we all have our minds to do so in this room.
That's true, certainly. Thank you. The organizing committee made a mistake. But that being said, yes, Liberia's Deputy Minister for Economic Management and Ministry of Finance, Honorable Tepo Wazo, will make a remark on behalf of the Ministry of Finance.
No, we can't be talking money matters and forget what I need for money. Yeah, but on a serious note, they actually give a perspective on how we do this to get the money.
Your Excellency, it is a great honor for me to stand here to discuss about infrastructure in post-war Liberia. Even though this mistake came, but it's timely enough to have listened to Ghana, to hear from Ghana how we model our economy in Ghana. Distinguished development partners, Mr. President, please permit me to just say officially, in as much as I'm in my capacity as the Minister of Finance, but I want to say welcome to Nimba County, where infrastructure opportunities have actually shown the work that you're doing in the country. It is a privilege to address you this important occasion about financing of infrastructure. For Liberia, infrastructure is not an abstract concept. It is a role that farmers in local needs to bring pepper and rice to the market. It is a electricity that small businesses in Ghana need to keep the lights on. It is the internet that our young entrepreneurs here in Ghana will need to sell beyond the border and the rest of the world. It is a clean water and safe health facility that every community needs to reconcile with one another. We have made progress since the war, but the gap remains wide. Too many communities are cut off, too many families remain apart, too many schools and clinics lack basic infrastructure. For honor His Excellency President Boakai, the arrest agenda is very much key. Infrastructure is at the heart of our national transformation. To date, we know to inform the public that the President has invested a total of over $250 billion in budgetary appropriation to infrastructure and basic services across the country, showing more ownership and leadership in infrastructure. We are determined to move potential to prosperity as a nation, but our needs far exceed our national budget and traditional aid from our partner. This is why we have developed a PPP policy, which is moving towards a PPP law to help mobilize resources to finance our infrastructure and development across the country. Most importantly, this is the central purpose for which you have gathered here today, to move from talk about needs to structuring and financing real solutions, to build genuine partnership between government, the private sector, development partners, and financial institutions around the globe, to ensure that every dollar invested delivers maximum impact for the Liberian people. Let me briefly highlight a few things that the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning has considered to be priority under the arrest agenda. First, road and transport. Many primary and secondary roads have become major priority for this government, and our health affecting our health, agriculture, education, and commerce. Most importantly, our national unity has been divided because of lack of access to road. In focus, we are connecting county capital as per the presidential mandate, major production area, upgrading rural corridors within ECOWAS and the Mana Rural Union Basin, improving feeder roads to ensure that productivity and national reconciliation are fostered. We are preparing pipeline projects well structured to attract concessional finance, PPP, and private capital, including the first public project that is making Sierra Leone and Liberia. For energy, we are here to ensure credibility into our private sector development. With the highest tariff in the short region, we are looking for affordable and industrialized opportunity in the digital economy, the structure to ensure that we expand our hydropower and solar energy to strengthen generation, transmission, distribution, and improve governance and efficiency in the energy sector. With this, we are looking forward for independent power producers, reliable energy investors on a fair, transparent, and balanced investor with return to ensure an affordable tariff in our country. For the digital infrastructure, the future is bright. Trade and education and governance are being digitized. Liberia must not be left behind. We aim to ensure that we have the environment where infrastructure for e-government, digital services will create an enabling environment for fintech, startup businesses, digital entrepreneurship, especially for our youth and women. On this note, we have not left behind our social and resilient infrastructure, meaning road and power alone are not enough. We are ensuring that we have quality infrastructure in schools, health facilities, water, and sanitation, infrastructure for resilient floor development, coastal erosion, building, harbour sites, which are all important in our national development plan. We are committed to inclusive, climate smart infrastructure, to integrate environmental and social safeguards so that we can create a nation for the next generation. To realize our financing architecture, we have ensured that capital flow were not only for concessional financing, but to ensure predictability, credibility, and trust within our system by strengthening our macro stability and debt management, improving public financial management, especially project selection with direct investment in the community and project execution with greater return. We are ensuring reform and legal regulatory framework, particularly for PPP model, which will ensure will unite our infrastructure sector. To conclude, we are ready as a nation, Mr. President, to engage, to move unnecessary bottleneck in all negotiations. At this time, we seek partnership based on mutual respect, shared benefits, transparency, respect for law and community, decent job creation, technology transfer, and strong local content where our people will be incorporated in all projects. With all these, we must remember that mighty women who lead good role also earn good fair price for development. Students who need electricity and internet also learn to become productive. A patient who needs functioning health facility will be a productive citizen to contribute. A young Liberian who needs job will create the opportunity and have a chance to start his own business to become a middle class. On this note, the clear priorities are clear, and Mr. Minister of Public Works, on behalf of the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Honorable Dr. I thank you and the partners, organizers, each of you who are here present today for the commitment. Let us seize this opportunity with seriousness and unity of purpose, so that when we meet again, we can point to plans and promises, or not to talk, but we point to roads that are built, powers that are delivered, courts that are improved, digital networks that are expanded, lives are changed, and together we can all lay the foundation for this and next generation, for a competitive and more prosperous Liberia. I thank you.
Delivering a statement there on behalf of the Minister of Finance, Honorable Deputy Wazo, the Deputy Minister of Finance and Development Planning.
Can we have another round of applause? While the clerk would still sorting our admission, we quickly turn to the relaxed section, and I'll turn it over to you.
So several remarks expected to be delivered here. Of course, we will be joining several stakeholders who are here to deliver remarks.
So we'll now entertain a couple of remarks, beginning with the doyen of the diplomatic corps.
So we'll now take a remark from the diplomatic community to be delivered by, of course, the doyen of the diplomatic corps. He walks to the podium. Of course, a very crucial infrastructural conference for Liberia, with foreign guests giving their input you listen to the Minister of Works from Ghana delivering a special statement here at this conference. Let's now go for remarks.
I extend greetings to His Excellency President Joseph Nimba Boakai, to of course our hostess, the Superintendent of the Nimba County, that I've had the pleasure of meeting before, and the Minister of the Capital Visit of the Visiting Minister from Ghana and his colleague from Liberia, other members of the legislature, the President, members of the Cabinet, my dear colleagues, members of the diplomatic corps, and I do not ignore those whose names I don't recall. The diplomatic corps is proud to participate at this first conference on infrastructure. The very act of convening such a broad spectrum conference on such a wide and catalytic foundational issue as the role of infrastructure in national development is very reassuring to the friends and partners of Liberia. And the presence of His Excellency President Boakai portrays and projects a great national intent and purpose. Besides the intellectual, technical, and entrepreneurial uplifting of the nation, few other parameters testify to its level and stage of socio-economic success as its infrastructural footprint. The national self-examination and self-awareness that led to the convening of the present forum tells us in clear and certain terms that no foreign partner needs to keep open an already open door. Indeed, as is evidenced through the elaborate content of the arrest agenda and the preparations for today's meeting, the Liberian people know their concerns. Be it therefore, your well-wishers can only hope for urgency and for excellent ordering of priorities. Younger Africa wants to dream its future through the crystal ball of Liberia. The leadership and experts of Liberia shall surely find patriotic pride in the beauty of building by and for themselves a great nation. They will find satisfaction in that heartwarming exhilaration and paternity of being conceptors, innovators, and craftsmen of impactful, life-changing infrastructure that truly rebrands Liberia and makes the nation proud. I can imagine that such a deep pride marked those who thought about and built such great, grandiose ideas as the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal, the English Channel. And recently, as I prepared to come to Ghana, or Boakai, as the student call it, I read about a simple innovation in Thailand. The use of bamboo pickets along the seafront to break the power of waves and thus to break sea erosion and recreate the conditions necessary for the regeneration of mangrove forests. I thought this was very adaptable to Liberia and to many of our African countries, considering the cost of modern technologies for stopping erosion. The panoply of local experts, a veritable who is who of experts of Liberia, that this conference brings together assures us that Liberia has the human capacity to take charge of its infrastructural destiny. And its huge diaspora can generate complementary sources of financing. We see Liberia as a country with a lot of water. So attention should be paid to how this development of infrastructure can concern travel along the waterways of Liberia. It's part of what we often neglect for a country like ours. We must always also look at the junction where infrastructure building meets employment needs and national pride. Another thing that intrigues me as an African diplomat is how we work so hard in building our infrastructure, and each country builds its railways, but we don't seem to think about integrating the railways. So I always ask the questions to my colleagues: how do we intend to connect railways between eventually Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana? If everybody is building a railway according to their own pages, and there is no way for one day getting on a plane from Cameroon might not be arriving in Nigeria by rail as you can move from Spain to Poland. So these are big things which our leaders, when they sit together, must think about. We cannot just allow each foreign partner help us to find the norms and standards of our pages according to these old pages. So I say therefore that we wish Liberia good luck based on its courage and readiness to make the hard coordination and self-reliance choices in a context of donor reticence. I thank you very much.
He just spoke on behalf of the diplomatic community. He's the doyen of the diplomatic corps. So still here on the remarks segment, of course.
We'll now invite the podium.
Ambassador Dina Dupree's.
We'll then on the mic on behalf of the European Union.
And there she goes, Ambassador Dupree's. She will speak on behalf of the EU. Here in Liberia, Ambassador Lena Dupree's walks to the podium now.
The EU supported the training of young technicians in electricity in Florida. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Minister. And we still do. Good morning to you all, Your Excellency, President Joseph Boakai, all protocols observed. Let me start by praising the government of Liberia, with specific emphasis on the Ministry of Public Works for Liberia's steady but short progress in terms of infrastructure. And this conference is very timely and proof of the right trajectory because planning is essential. Over the past 50 years, the European Union has stood with Liberia's progress, and we are a very active player in Liberia's infrastructural development. Your Excellency, permit me to recall a few of our interventions to Liberia's development. Those are mostly grants. In terms of roads, the European Union has been the biggest donor to the Liberia Reconstruction Trust Fund, with about $60 million, which resulted in the construction of the Red Line to Boakai and other corridors. We have also supported the routine road maintenance program that has provided asphalt and gravel roads like Waterside, Robertsport, Airport Road, Boakai, Cestos corridors. Importantly, we have also supported the creation and facilitation of the National Road Fund. In terms of energy, we have supported through the European Investment Bank the rehabilitation of Mount Coffee Hydro Dam. And more than 10 years ago, we have supported the cross-border electrification of Nimba, Granjade, and Maryland through the West African Power Pool. Just recently, we have electrified Greater Mongolia through a 52 million euros grant, connecting over 42,000 households to the national grid through this. With the African Development Bank, we have built the grid along the Mongolia Airport corridor, being able to connect the airport to the LEC grid, but also, of course, electrifying homes along that corridor. Currently, we are working on the electrification of the southeast of Liberia, specifically Boakai, Greenville, and Bartleville, with a 42 million euros grants. And that includes also electrifying the ports of Boakai and Greenville. But we also support, for example, the drafting and consultation of the draft data privacy bill, which is also important for your ICT. I also want to mention that we have managed to get some headquarters funding to provide equipment and works for the international airport of Mongolia that we will start now in the coming months. And of course, we are ready to further invest in road construction. We are currently discussing with the Minister of Public Works to fund a portion of the coastal highway. And that is, of course, part of the strategic corridor from Dakar to Abidjan. And we are ready to continue to invest in green energy. Remain committed to invest in Tempo River 2 hydropower should the government decide to go ahead with this project. These investments are part of our global gateway strategy. The global gateway strategy is our European strategy to boost smart, clean and secure links in digital, energy and transport, and to strengthen health, education and research systems across the world. We aim to mobilize $300 billion in investments through a Team Europe approach, bringing together the European Union, its member states, and our financial and development institutions. We work with 6 core principles at the heart of the global gateway strategy: democratic values and high standards, good governance and transparency, equal partnerships, green and clean, security-focused, and catalyzing the private sector. I think this is all what this conference is also about. The Global Gateway is the European Union's contribution to narrowing the global investment gap worldwide. It's in line with the commitment of the G7 leaders to launch a values-driven, high-standard, transparent infrastructure partnership to meet global infrastructure development needs. It is also, of course, fully aligned with the United Nations Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Africa and the European Union are major economic partners. The EU is Africa's largest trading partner and investor, while Africa is the EU's 4th largest trade partner. The EU imports from Africa grew by 37% over the past 10 years. Manufacturing imports rose by 75%. Today, 44 African countries benefit from duty-free access to the EU market, and 97% of African exports enter the EU without tariffs. The European investment stocks on the continent have increased by 13% and now stand at about 240 billion euros, the EU remains Africa's most significant long-term investment. And of course, we also support the African Continental Free Trade Area. As we work together towards a successful EU-Liberia Business Forum to be held in Brussels next month on the 24th and the 25th of February, the results of the deliberation of this conference will be very timely. And beyond our investments in infrastructure, with our recently launched private sector development program, we will work together to improve Liberia's attractivity to domestic and foreign investment. Let's seize together this unique opportunity of the EU-Liberia Business Forum. Your Excellency, I want to assure Liberia that we are a partner committed to Liberia's development, and we stand with you in these times of global fragmentation, because we believe that people everywhere deserve the best standards of living as a basic human right. We stand with you as you implement the Arrest Agenda and the Global Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, and I wish for very productive, impactful deliberations.
Nona Depress is the EU ambassador to Liberia. And she was speaking on behalf of the EU there, pointing out some of the interventions the European Union has made on the African continent, including Liberia, of course, and also pointing out projects that the EU intends to sponsor, ranging from road connectivity to electricity, renewable energy, and more. So we get another remarks from the international partners, precisely the UN Development Agency, the UNDP, of course.
Your Excellency, Mr. President of Liberia, Honorable Minister of Public Works, Honorable Minister from Ghana, members of the cabinet, my old sister, the superintendent of Nimba. Mr. President, over the last few weeks, there was a big battle among lions in Africa. There were the Indomitable lions, the Atlas lions, and the Teranga lions. And yesterday, the Teranga lions beat seriously the Atlas lions and become the champion of Africa. And coming from Senegal, I want us, all of us, to clap for the Teranga lions. Thank you so much. Mr. President, this is a big honor and privilege to be with you today here in Uganda for this very important infrastructure conference. Allow me also to commend you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, for your leadership and vision in placing infrastructure at the center of Liberia's national agenda, transformation agenda. Because we do believe that your presence here today sends a powerful signal. Infrastructure is not simply about roads, and the Minister of Public Works from Ghana has talked about that infrastructure is not simply about roads, bridges, and buildings, but about people and about opportunities, state presence, but also above all about national unity. And I believe that holding this conference here in Uganda is really symbolic. And when the minister invited me to attend, I asked him why he will be holding this meeting in Uganda. So, Nimba is not, as we all know, only a historic pillar of Liberia's economy and resilience. It is also a strategic gateway to regional trade, to agricultural value chain, and cross-border integration. So, convening this conference here affirms a critical principle that development must be territorial, inclusive, visible beyond Monrovia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure, as it was clearly said this morning, is development. It connects farmers to markets, children to schools, patients to health facilities, and entrepreneurs to opportunities. Because when planning infrastructure, we do see the cost of doing business. In Liberia, we will be called business. It will help to strengthen national cohesion, create jobs, especially for young people. And we know, Mr. President, how this is deep in your heart to create jobs and give opportunity to young people. And infrastructure can really help with that. This conference, therefore, comes at a critical moment because we know that Liberia stands at the crossroad where strategic infrastructure investment can accelerate economic transformation, linking agriculture to agro-processing, mining to domestic value addition, roads to regional corridors, and energy to industrial growth. Infrastructure must now be guided not only by engineering logic, but by economic logic, climate logic, and governance logic. Digital infrastructure, as you know, has become a core pillar of state capability and economic competitiveness. For Liberia, this means moving decisively towards strong data governance frameworks, the rollout of a secure and inclusive digital identity, and the expansion of e-government systems to connect ministries, counties, and service providers. Investing in digital infrastructure is therefore not only about connectivity. It is about modernizing the state. It is about strengthening accountability, but also it's about enabling inclusive growth across the entire national territory. And UNDP is working with the Ministry of Force and Territory to build a robust digital infrastructure for Liberia, but also with the Ministry of Finance. We are now convening every year the Liberia Tech Summit, which brings all the partners, stakeholders in the digital space with the resilient digital infrastructure. This is also a moment to strengthen partnership. I think that came very strong between central government and counties, between the public and the private sector, and between Liberia and its development partners. No single actor can deliver the scale of infrastructure Liberia needs. No single actor can deliver the scale of infrastructure Liberia needs alone. But together, with clear priorities, strong execution, and shared accountability, we can deliver infrastructure that truly transforms lives. In this regard, allow me to briefly highlight the United Nations Development Program support work on Liberia in the infrastructure agenda in a manner that is practical, community encoded, and climate resilient. Through our Accelerated Community Development Program, which we call the ACDP, which is funded by the government of Liberia, UNDP is supporting small-scale but high-impact infrastructure in underserved communities. We are rehabilitating health facilities across counties. For example, right now, UNDP is fully renovating the Delaware Hospital in Bison. We are supporting farmers cooperatives and women cooperatives, marketplaces, drainage system, and basic public infrastructure that directly improve livelihood, stimulate local economies, and strengthen trust between citizens and the state. At the same time, UNDP is supporting large-scale climate resilient infrastructure to protect lives and economic zones. In Monrovia, with the financing from the Green Climate Fund, in collaboration with EPA, we are supporting coastal protection infrastructure to address erosion, flooding, and climate risk affecting vulnerability communities in Cape Mount, in Cape West Point, for example. So that's a $26 million project that is currently being implemented by UNDP and the EPA. In Sonoma County, for example, we support the Global Environment Facility. UNDP is working with national and local authorities to strengthen coastal resilience and protect ecosystems that underpin livelihood and local economic activities. This $8 million project is also funded through the EPA and through UNDP by the Global Environment Facilities. Mr. President, going forward, UNDP is making clear and deliberate, but making clear and a deliberate commitment to spend a greater share of our resources on concrete, visible actions on the ground that deliver measurable impact and transformation. This means prioritizing implementation of fragmentation, scaling what works, accelerating project execution, and aligning our financing, technical assistance, and partnerships behind results that communities can see but also can feel by creating jobs, reducing risk, and delivering services. Mr. President, UNDP doesn't want to be those who are doing NATO as you call it. No action, talk only. We don't want that in UNDP anymore. Let this conference be more than a dialogue. Let it be a turning point, where ambition is matched with execution, where plans are grounded in realities on the ground, and where infrastructure becomes a true engine of inclusive growth, national cohesion, and long-term resilience. I thank you, Honorable Minister, for inviting us. I thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. I thank all the participants for your presence and commitment with this conference, every success, and I thank you for your kind attention.
Of course, still on the remarks section, speaking on behalf of the UNDP there. We look forward to more remarks here. Of course, after all of these remarks, we expect to hear His Excellency President Boakai officially declare this conference open.
Follow that remark, we have to do the amendments here.
So we also expect a remarks from the AFDB, of course the Africa Development Bank or African Development Bank, an institution that sponsors lots of infrastructural projects of course across the continent, sponsoring several of them here in Liberia.
Dear President, Minister of Public Works, and other government officials here present, the diplomatic corps, and fellow development private sector, which I think is more important than equally exciting, our traditional chiefs, people of Nimba. First of all, thank you for inviting us to Nimba to discuss. But one thing before I even get into this, what IFC stands for when it comes to supporting this infrastructure. I remember what I was told that in 1959, there was another important discussion happening in Nigeria that saw OAU, that saw African development. So I wish that as we discuss our national vision and our support for the infrastructure and how that is going to capitalize the growth in our private sector and grow our economy to become a middle income, that we have done it in Nimba before and it can be done here again. Mr. President, I'm extremely happy today, not only speaking for IFC, but as a Liberian, that we have a very targeted discussion on our vision to modernize our country to become a middle income country, and we can then compete not only within Africa, but on the world stage. I'm equally excited that we are talking about rebranding our country and we're rebuilding Liberia. So we can now start talking about innovative solutions around our own development, around our infrastructure development as a strong support towards what we can do and how we can build our private sector and meet some of the vision that we have in the development agenda that we have for Liberia. I'm also extremely excited on behalf of the IFC that today, as we are speaking about our national development when it comes to our infrastructure, we can then start to talk about how IFC can participate in some of these, to find out some of these investment opportunities and create bankable projects that can then support your vision. I will borrow from the speaker. He said that infrastructure is actually an architecture of prosperity. It's actually, I will even go beyond that, it's actually the architecture of our dignity and our national pride. At IFC, we stand to support anything that has to do with private sector development. When we look at our CPF, which is our framework that guides the development, it talks a lot about areas like energy, it talks about agriculture, it talks about creating jobs, it talks about creating sustainable development that can support Liberia to be where it wants to be. Today at IFC, we started most of what we've done around investments in the cement. We looked at investments in ARPA, we actually supported an investment when it comes to electricity, but we're now looking at renewable energy. Mr. President, I want to say at the IFC, we'll continue this support in terms of this national agenda. We'll continue to support in terms of what we can do to support all of our national rebranding and rebuilding of Liberia. Mr. President, and all of our foreign guests here at IFC will continue to work with our private sector. We'll continue to work with our development partners. We'll continue to work with the government in all of this support, any infrastructure that we can do in Liberia. For this, I say thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, the Minister of Public Works. Thank you to our development partners. And thank you to everyone, and most especially, and congratulations to the people of Nimba for the victory yesterday. Thank you.
Folks, we're still getting remarks, but I see the Chief of Protocol in the President's office gearing up. So we've got 2 more remarks to go, brief ones of course, and so we now have a rep from the African Development Bank. Like I said, an entity that sponsors lots of infrastructure development projects across the African continent, inclusive of Liberia, where they currently have several ongoing projects under their sponsorship.
It is wonderful to be here, Your Excellency. Seeing all the full ecosystem of delivery in one room, it tells us that from Your Excellency to the technician. Progress is no longer hope, it is a plan. Your Excellency, President Joseph Nimba Boakai, Sr., government officials here present, distinguished professionals, partners, delegates, and guests, kindly allow me to stand on the existing protocol. It is an honor to represent the African Development Bank at this auspicious occasion. We thank the government of Liberia, particularly the Ministry of Public Works and the National Organizing Committee, for convening this National Infrastructure Conference in Gaza under such a dynamic theme. You can rest assured that the African Development Bank team is fully engaged throughout this week, both in person and virtually, to contribute across sectors and support a coordinated development dialogue that delivers results. The theme of the conference is timely, and it aligns with the government's renewed development momentum, the Arrest Agenda, and the national drive to translate priorities into visible improvements for communities. For the African Development Bank, the message is simple. Reconstruction will move faster when Liberia can connect and when Liberia can power productivity. Connect people to markets and services, power homes, schools, clinics, and businesses. That is why African Development Bank support emphasizes transport and energy, because these two sectors unlock every other sector. Our partnership is guided by two pillars of the bank's new country strategy paper 2026 to 2030. Number one, supporting inclusive infrastructure for the competitive private sector and strengthening human capital for quality and inclusive growth. These are not slogans. They are practical roadmaps to competitiveness, jobs, and better lives. On transport, African Development Bank is supporting strategic connectivity through the Mono River Union Road Development and Transport Facilitation Program, strengthening key corridors in southeastern Liberia, from the completed Harper to Carleton and the ongoing funding secured Carleton to Wedge, with planning in the pipeline for the coastal corridor, thereby reducing transport costs, improving safety, and building resilience. When roads are reliable, farmers get produce to market, families reach clinics safely, children get to school, and businesses can plan and grow. Then and only then, connectivity becomes opportunity. On energy, our focus is reliable and affordable power. The CLSG rural electrification effort has expanded access, and we are continuing support through renewable energy and electrification program called REAL, including the additional financing to expand access and strengthen sustainability under this REAL project to complete a 9.34 megawatt runoff river hydropower plant, guess where? Right here in Nimba County, Baden Falls. Because when power is reliable, enterprises expand, services improve, and young people find livelihoods closer to home. And then, and only then, energy becomes productivity. Ahead of the conference sessions, allow me to leave three clear priorities for momentum beyond Gaza. Prepare well, build to last, finance with credibility. Prepare and prioritize bankable climate-smart pipelines. Build with resilience, safety, and maintenance from day one. Finance with strong coordination on enabling environment that attracts private capital. AFDB stands ready to work with the government of Liberia and partners to turn this conference into
especially across transport and energy, at the heart of productive growth and private sector-led transformation. Let us make reconstruction an experience, not a slogan. Let us connect and empower Liberia so rebranding is reflected in safer journeys, brighter homes, stronger services, thriving businesses, and real opportunity for all Liberian people. Thank you, and I wish all of us a successful conference.
Splendid remarks delivered there. The Chief of Protocol in the President's office will now introduce His Excellency President Boakai as His Excellency the President to address or formally declare the Liberia National Infrastructure Conference opened. The President will be delivering the official opening statement here to declare this full-day event opened here in Gantha. Let's join the Chief of Protocol quickly.
Members of the High Court, as representatives of international organizations and development partners, as representatives of state-owned enterprises, our officials of government, Madam President of the University of Liberia, and heads of institutions of specialized higher learning, as representatives of commercial banking institutions, Madam Superintendent Nimba Council, and members of the Superintendent's Council, our traditional leaders, the elders, prelates, members of the clergy, representatives of civil society organizations, all invited guests, members of the electronic and print media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On the occasion of the opening of Liberia National Infrastructure Conference under the theme Rebranding and Rebuilding Liberia through Reconstruction, it is my increasing duty at this time to present to you His Excellency Joseph Nimba, President of the Republic of Liberia,
His Excellency President Boakai being invited now to the podium to address this conference and formally declare it opened.
And we congratulate the people of Nimba for the victory again. Thank you very much. Please have your seats. And also, let me say how proud I am here for Jackie for providing us this kind of facility. This is what we call loving your country and giving it the best. Jackie, I want to thank you so much for coming. With an inspiration to us. I want to say to all our people, Liberians, it's about time that we start doing something for our country. The Honorable Kenneth J., Minister of Works, the Republic of Ghana, and our esteemed guest speaker, honorable members of the legislature, local and national, the Honorable Minister of Public Works, members of the cabinet here, members of the government, our esteemed government partners, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished scholars, captains of industry, and members of the private sector, representative of the Liberian diaspora here present, our professionals, our chiefs and elders, thank you so much for welcoming us to the entrance to local government leaders, members of the media, fellow Liberians, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure on behalf of the people and the government of Liberia to welcome you to our country, for those of you who are coming, and to the beautiful and great county of Nimba, located in the north, the historical hub of the mining industry in Nigeria. I am pleased to address this important conference, which has been in the making for nearly 2 years. It was conceived in response to my deep concern over the visible deterioration and unsightly state of our national infrastructure, condition that persists as a legacy of our conflict. It is also the result of our thinking approach to set the stage for how we intend to shape the future of our infrastructure landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me at this time to reference 2 quotations that have frankly underscore our vision on why it is important to deepen the effort for infrastructure development. The Indian politician Rahul Gandhi once observed, and I quote, "The rising tide does not lift those who have no boat. We have to build the boat for them. We have to give them the basic infrastructure to rise to the top," unquote. In another related reflection, former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher once remarked, and I quote, "You and I come by road or rail, but economies travel on infrastructure," unquote. In my view, both quotations underscore the social and economic reasons why we must take deliberate action to develop our infrastructure, not only in Liberia, but across Africa. These insights remind us that infrastructure should not be about physical asset alone. It must also have a human face, people, their dignity, and the future of our nation. We should see roads and bridges beyond concrete and steel, energy systems beyond wires and turbines, water systems beyond pipes, and they are lifelines that shape opportunity, productivity, and national confidence. Today we must speak frankly about the state of our country's infrastructure. Across Liberia, until efforts in the recent years to stop the rot, there have been in a deteriorated state. Public buildings have decayed, electricity unreliable, and access to safe water and sanitation and adequate housing have been far from universal. For those of you who have gone up to the Ducal, Hotel Africa, and other places in Birmingham, these conditions impose daily hardship on our citizens and constrain our economic growth. This conference is convened to foster an honest national discussion, one that confronts the decade of infrastructure, identifies what needs to be repaired, and chart a path for our rebuilding smarter and better. Our purpose is not simply to repair what is broken, but to design infrastructure that improve lives and restore dignity. I'm sure most of you have been to West Point. I did that during the campaign. Some of our prime areas that need to be looked at. Liberia's food conflict experience further underscores the urgency of this task. Years of civil war have destroyed infrastructure that once symbolized our pride as a country. I was once in the United States, and they asked me, what part of Monrovia are you from? They said, West Point. And I said, sir, I'm sure the West Point you're talking about is not what we are. People who used to come to Liberia, into Broad Street, you know what Broad Street means. He told me during our conflict, and when we wanted to go to the United States and we didn't go, we came to Liberia. Today, things have changed. So while these cars remain largely visible, they also present an opportunity to start and then and build better. Rebuilding infrastructure in this country is also an act of national healing. Yes, I agree that we must build back and build better. Build better in the sense of that infrastructure we build today and tomorrow we compete with the rest of the world, be resilient to our national elements and climate change, generate jobs, grow industry, and stimulate enterprises, promote growth, equity, and more crucially, build a cohesive and open society with no one left behind. This conference aligned us with the vision of my administration under the arrest agenda. We are committed to delivering inclusive and forward-looking infrastructure development aligned with Africa's Agenda 2063 and Sustainable Development Goals. We must move beyond fragmented effort turn fixes towards a completion and coordinated system that use the best technology and innovation to serve both the present and future generations. This is the moment, and this moment demands readiness of our institutions, our policies, and our leadership. The National Infrastructure Conference is therefore the call to action. As I conclude, I want to leave with you with the words of the late President John F. Kennedy for reflection. And I quote, "American roads are not good because America is rich, but America is rich because American roads are good." We hope one day Liberian roads will be good. So many times during the campaign we used to come here to Uganda, and you know the difficulty just between here and Mama. Today they're not the best, but at least we get there a little bit faster. So we will be wealthy and prosperous when our infrastructure is good. Sometimes I tell people, you're building a nice road, just put a sign there. Somebody wakes up in the morning just seeing that that's the kind of road they come in to expect. Sometimes it gives you a lot of relief. You don't know how much it costs. Expecting good things to happen. So let me thank the Minister of Public Works, our partners, our stakeholders abroad for convening this important conference. There are some brilliant young people that we have around the country. I know when I was in Rome, and one of them came to me by the name of Nimba to discuss post-conflict infrastructure. I wish you were here. I also thank our guests, both from abroad and in the region, who have joined us in this important conversation. With this, for the second time, I now want to declare the conference officially.
His Excellency President Boakai declaring the National Infrastructure Conference opened here in Ganta, Nimba County. And of course, adding some humor and some fun as he introduces the National Infrastructure Conference. In his words, infrastructure advancement is also a form of national healing. So this event is being held here in Nimba County under the auspices of the Ministry of Public Works and its partners, including international partners. President Boakai has returned to his seat upon delivering a splendid message declaring the conference formally opened.
Which is plain there is section 1. It will be presided or moderated by Mr. Christian Quinn on the legal framework on infrastructure, special development as a field, urban panels, regional development, and our section 1 was we just believe you will have a powerful code from
folks, so wherever you've watched and followed us from, we'd love to say thank you for watching and thank you for following us. This has been the official opening of the National Infrastructure Conference that's been held here in Ganta, Nimba County. As you look up there on the board, it says Liberia's infrastructure journey from post-war recovery to ongoing construction or ongoing reconstruction. So basically what's going to happen here today is there's going to be several panel discussions. There's going to be several meetings that are going to be held at this conference, several resolutions to be reached, several decisions, several documents to sign up to. Of course, as this short video is being played, we'll watch this short video briefly, and once the short video is done, there's going to be a photo section with His Excellency the President. Let's go back at the podium and give you a glimpse of the short video that's been shown. And then once that is done, we can bring this broadcast to an end, as we are only here to provide you coverage for the formal opening of the National Infrastructure Conference that's been held here in Ganta, Nimba County. Please have a look. We're hoping that sound can come on. I guess the engineers are working on that. There's a little sound, very low, but it's being worked on. But this conference is bringing together stakeholders. You listen to some of them during the remarks section. We have remarks from the African Development Bank that's sponsoring several projects here in Liberia. You also did hear from the EU. You did hear from the very Ministry of Public Works itself and several entities. But now a video is being played to depict Liberia's current and previous infrastructure outlook. But let's go to the video.
Water systems, schools, hospitals, and administrative institutions built to collapse. Roads connected farms to markets. Ports linked Liberia to global trade. Power and public services supported urban growth. Cities developed with order and purpose. Infrastructure was not perfect, but it worked. And it worked for national development. Liberia once built, managed, and maintained national assets across all sectors.
Innocent lives to be lost, just as a young person.
Then came the civil conflict. Years of war shattered not only lives but systems. Roads became battle lines, bridges collapsed, power plants shut down, water systems failed, schools, hospitals, and public institutions were destroyed or abandoned. Maintenance stopped. Skilled professionals fled. Technical capacity was lost. By the end of the war, much of Liberia's infrastructure lay in ruins, physically damaged, socially fractured, and institutionally broken. Infrastructure decay mirrored national trauma and institutional collapse. Peace marked a new beginning. Under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Liberia entered a phase of recovery and stabilization. The focus was rebuilding the basics, restoring connectivity, reviving public institutions, and re-establishing international confidence. Primary road corridors were reopened. Electricity returned to parts of the capital. Water systems were rehabilitated. Schools and hospitals reopened. Governance and regulatory institutions were rebuilt. With strong donor and partner support, Liberia laid the groundwork for national recovery, not for perfection, but for progress. Recovery restored essential services, institutional capacity, and national hope. The next phase focused on access and inclusion. On under President George Manalia, infrastructure development expanded deeper into communities. Urban road pavements increased. Secondary and feeder roads improved rural connectivity. Community facilities, markets, housing initiatives, and sanitation works received greater attention. The goal was simple: bring infrastructure closer to the people, especially those long underserved. Yet challenges persisted. Climate vulnerability, rapid urbanization, maintenance gaps, and growing pressure on aging systems. Access expanded, but sustainability and resilience emerged as critical concerns. Today, Liberia stands at another defining moment. Under the leadership of President Joseph Boakai, the national focus is shifting from recovery and access to full-scale reconstruction. Reconstruction means building smarter, stronger, and more resilient systems across transport, energy, water, and sanitation, education, health, housing, agriculture, support infrastructure, and digital connectivity. It means moving from repeated emergency repairs to long-term climate resilient solutions. The REST agenda provides clear direction, linking roads, agriculture, sanitation, education, energy, and tourism through integrated infrastructure planning. This era demands structure, accountability, coordination, and national ownership. The National Infrastructure Conference is not just a meeting, it is a national reset, a platform to examine evidence, assess gaps across all sectors, and agree on coordinated priorities. It brings together engineers, planners, policymakers, investors, academia, the private sector, development partners, and the diaspora. This is where research informs policy. Policy drives investment, and investment delivers results. Infrastructure decisions made today will shape Liberia for generations. Liberia's future will not be built by government alone. It will be built by professionals who is
Many thanks to the organizing committee. That video depicting Liberia's current infrastructure deficit.
So folks, you just watched a video shoot showing you Liberia's transition from a devastating conflict to a country transitioning to a whole different So currently guests are being recognized here in the building. Officials of government who are here at this event are being recognized. But that video depicted Liberia's transition to infrastructural development, of course, and securing a future.
The LTA Board of Commissioners fully represented as the Chairman Honorable Paris K. Masako, Commissioner of the LTA Honorable Patrick Pona, as Honorable Ben Fufana, the President's Special Envoy on Tourism and Chairperson of the National Tourism Authority Board, Honorable Christopher Hayes Onanonga. Please go ahead. The President of the University of Liberia, Dr. Ida Pine, Honorable Ali Muhammad Dia, is the President representing the Republic of Liberia. Kestua Kellam Sasha, representing African Development Bank,
our traditional leaders, and a host of other government officials that are here again. I do appreciate the fact that took time to be scheduled to raise the occasion. With that being said, Chief of Protocol Executive Marshal, please, the photograph section.
So folks, that will be it for this auspicious event. We'll now go for a photo session with His Excellency the President. You've just witnessed the formal opening of the Liberia's National Infrastructure Conference, formally opened by His Excellency President Boakai, and of course being held under the auspices of the Ministry of Public Works. And of course, my name is Anthony Williams. I've been bringing you this live coverage from Ganta, Nimba County, or Gompa if you may. So wherever you watch from, we'd like to say thanks for watching and bye-bye for now.